"Nats, what are you doing here?" Shane asked. Natalie, who couldn't control anymore, burst out crying. She didn't know what to do. Nora, who had her eyebrows raised in anger, was about to push Natalie away. But when she saw Shane behind Natalie, she immediately softened her voice and completely changed, showing off a delicate and pitiful expression. "Sis, I know I was wrong. If you want to beat and scold someone, then do it to me. Don't blame Shane." Natalie froze, and in the next second, she saw Nora suddenly fall to the ground. That pose was as if she had pushed her. This woman was trying to frame Natalie. "Natalie, what did you do?" Shane shouted at Natalie. Natalie turned in surprise and saw Shane with a cold expression. Shane brushed past her and helped Nora up. "Nora, are you okay?" Nora was practically hanging her entire body on Shane, and completely out of character, she said, "Shane, I didn't do it on purpose. I know I'm in the wrong. I'm the one who should be sorry to my sister for causing all this." "That's enough. I'll settle everything." Shane patted Nora's shoulders, letting her enter the car, and continued, "I'll explain everything to Natalie." Natalie's mind was completely blank. She watched Shane walk towards her and watched his mouth open and close. He talked for what felt like hours. He spoke of their time together as childhood sweethearts, of his struggle when he fell in love with Nora, of his anger when he found out that Nora had plotted against her, of his shock and guilt when he found out that Natalie was pregnant, and continued with how he had accepted Nora's apology. In the end, he concluded the conversation by saying, "Natalie, I'm sorry. I can't marry you. It's not because of the matter of that night or this child, but it's because I can't let Nora down, and I don't want to deceive myself and my feelings." The past few months, he had been taking Nora with him overseas, and after getting along together day and night, it was even harder for him to separate. Even though he had admitted that he was the one who had relations with Natalie that night, it was only for the sake of covering up her pain. But in his heart, he had already chosen Nora. So after knowing that Natalie was pregnant, he could not bear it any longer and immediately went to the Brown family to explain everything to their parents and to reveal the truth to Natalie. Natalie, who had finally recovered her voice, looked at the cool and calm Shane as if her soul had escaped from her body and said with a trembling voice, "Then, Shane, you knew all along that it was Nora who drugged me to ruin my innocence. For the sake of protecting her, you told me that it was you that night?" "Natalie, she did not do it on purpose. She's still young and impulsive." He tried to explain being blinded by love. "Then what about me?" Natalie raised her head to look at Shane, face full of despair. "Did you ever think of me? Not even for a little bit?" Shane did not speak, and after a long while of silence, he reached out to Natalie. "Let's go inside." "Don't touch me." Natalie pushed away Shane's hands and suddenly started laughing loudly. Living till now, Natalie felt that her life was like a joke. In order to live in the same city as Shane, she had put tremendous effort into her studies to get into a good university. In order to please Shane, she had given up her long-lasting dream of acting. In order to match his upbringing and family background, she had abandoned her adoptive parents to return to the Brown family, clumsily trying to please those so-called distinguished figures. In the end, what she received in return was one sentence: "I can't let Nora down." Nora had stolen not only her identity and her biological parents, but now she had even stolen her one and only sweetheart. Nora was still young, so her mistakes could be forgiven? Then who would take responsibility for her life? She didn't even know who the man from that night was. She was bombarded with so many frightening thoughts. Natalie covered her face, body shaking fiercely. She was already in the depths of despair. Shane watched Natalie walk towards the road unthinkingly, as if in a trance. He threw away the cigarette he was grasping between his fingers and was about to chase after her. But Nora, who held onto his sleeve from behind, stopped him. "Shane, where are you going?" And in the instant Shane was hesitating when bang, a loud noise was heard. Natalie, who had been walking on the zebra crossing, was thrown into the air, landing heavily on the ground. "Help! Help! She got hit by the car!" a voice exclaimed. In the glaring light, Natalie saw shaking silhouettes and the two faces that made her nauseous. The cramping pain that came from her belly caused her to lose consciousness bit by bit. She only blinked her eyes once, and the fresh blood on her forehead flowed into her eyes. The world fell into darkness.
Did you like this story? You can listen to thousands of such stories on the Pocket FM app. You can download the app now. Click on this icon on your screen, or click the drop-down icon right beside the video title. Or search for Pocket FM on the App Store on your iPhone. Now tap the Get button on your iPhone to install the app. Join millions of other listeners on the Pocket FM app and discover thousands of riveting stories today.